Folks, welcome to week one of the Baseball Boys interviews. Today we actually have somebody we didn't get to interview last year. I know last year for her probably didn't go as well as she had wanted it to. But she had some really, really high spots of the year. So we are going to welcome Miss LionLover, aka Danielle. Danielle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Good,
Glad to
good.
get on the show.
A lot of people say they're glad to be here, and I question a lot of those people when they say that.
Yeah, I'm
So,
actually I'm actually very excited.
are you? Well, let's hop into it. Danielle, you are 4-0 to start the season. We're only 4 weeks in.
That's right.
Um, I mean, I'm gonna throw you a little soft toss question here, and just be like, how's it feel to be 4-0, and why do you think you're here? How do you think you got to 4-0?
I mean, obviously I feel great. I feel like this is how I saw the season going, from the start. Just really where I wanted to how I wanted to kick it off. And how I got here. Pretty simple. Um, just got some great players. Players that are, consistent, putting points on the board. Um, just yeah, they're doing great.
Well,
Proud of the
I'll tell you what. Like, consistency is a huge key, especially in fantasy, right?
mm,
If you got three or four guys, they might put up 10 points, but -5 the next. It doesn't really help you. Um, and you had mentioned that you were able to pick up a lot of great players. Have you made a lot of transactions this year, or is this kind of the team you drafted and the team that you went through that draft really piecing together, or have you had to make changes?
hmm Yeah, there's been a few trade offers, all of which I have declined. I'm just pretty happy with what I got. I've picked up I picked up a few guys at the beginning, just to fill in some empty spots. Dropped a few, got a few new pitchers, but that's really about it.
Nice, nice. So you had a pretty successful draft.
hmm
I'm gonna assume a lot of those trade offers were from Ronald Reagan.
Oh,
Um,
one was, yes.
okay, yeah, he tends to do that, and they're always terrible trade offers.
hmm
So going into that draft, what was your strategy? We know some of these teams go very heavy on pitchers. Some of them just go with a lot of like bench hitters, so they can swap them in and out. What was your strategy in that scenario?
So my strategy going in was had nothing to do really with the positions or what I knew about the guys. Pretty much when I saw someone who had the same first letter for their first and last name, that's who I decided to go. So if can we take a look at my roster real quick?
Let's do
I'll
that. Let's do that. Pull
okay.
that up for
You'll see
me.
what I'm talking about.
Um, I mean, to be fair, whatever works,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's got you to 4-0. You're
that's what
first
I'm
place
saying.
in the East.
Yep.
The only other undefeated team is Pablo Sanchez, which I think everybody expects every year. But yeah, let's pull your team up. You got it up?
Yeah, I'll just start
Yeah.
listing them off.
Yeah, just start
We
going
got
through them for me.
Manny Machado, Bo Bichette, Carlos Correa. Who else we got? Max Muncy, um, Lance Lynn, and Robbie Ray. So those are those are the key guys. Unfortunately, Robbie's on the IL right now, but he's hoping
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah, but even with the IL, right?
hmm
Well, first let me address this. That is not a strategy that I saw coming, especially from a 4-0 team. Now, the clown card that is Dave Engstrom's team currently. I could understand if he said something like that, right?
Yeah,
But it's got you to first place.
yeah.
But injuries. Have you had to deal with a lot of injuries this year? I know both your IL
Mm,
spots are full right now. Um, but I've seen a
No,
lot of good teams fall off because of that.
mm, nothing too severe so far. Um, that I remember. I know I dropped one guy because he was on the IL, but yeah, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do that. So the competition from looking at your schedule, with the exception of Ronald Reagan,
Mm.
kind of hasn't been strong. Okay,
Hmm.
just to be blunt with you,
Well, can
and
I stop you there?
yeah.
I would just like to point out the fact that I beat Ronald Reagan by about 60 points.
So it was 84 points.
80,
I did
oh,
the math,
sorry. Yes, thank you.
but he is 2-2.
Hmm.
So this is kind of an off year for him so far, right?
Also weak. Yeah.
Yeah. So although your I guess your schedule hasn't been super strong, including Ronald Reagan, but you did blow him out of the water. And to be
Mm.
honest, anybody who beats Ronald Reagan's a hero in my book, right?
Thank
You know,
you.
I don't think any of us like to see him win.
No.
So I do appreciate, you for that. I applaud you.
Appreciate
Um,
you.
Now, this week you do play Angel Hernandez, which is
I
one
saw
of the
that.
2 3-1 teams.
Hmm.
I know it's only day 2 of the week, but you're down in that a little bit. I do expect that gap to close as the week goes on. Um, but then coming up in, I guess, like, if you include this week, 3 weeks from now you play Pablo Sanchez, 4-0, and the week after that you play Angel Hernandez again.
Interesting.
Um, where do you think you'll be sitting by that period, right? Like that seventh, eighth, ninth games of the season. Do you think you'll still be riding that undefeated wave? Maybe one loss in there. Sometimes you have an off week, or where do you see yourself?
Well, literally, I'll be sitting in the country of Indonesia. So, in terms of fantasy, I can't see myself pouring as much time into it while I'm over there, which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at hiring yeah, assistant coach, you could say, just to, keep the pitchers in,
Mm-hmm.
keep the everything up. But we'll see if that happens, if I can trust people I'm interviewing right now. But yeah, so I really can't say because it could get to that point and I could just not have the app anymore. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. And I know for you that's probably frustrating, right?
Yes. Mhm.
The years before this year for you have been a lot of ups, a lot of downs, more downs than ups. You've had some good years, just not the years you wanted, right? And you're
Yeah.
finally in a position to do that.
Mm.
And you'll be in Indonesia, you know,
Unfortunately. Yes.
unfortunately.
I mean, but on the other side of that, let's also consider the fact that I've been putting about, if I had to estimate, solid 8 minutes a week into just, keeping the pitchers in, keeping them on rotation, checking the stats, once a day, quick 30 seconds. So, I mean, if I can find that time while I'm over there, I think I got a great chance of doing big things this year.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, when you have the right players on your team, 8 minutes is all it takes. Um, Now, when you're one of these teams kind of at the bottom of the table, you probably should put a little more time into. But you're sitting at 4-0. I think 8 minutes is doing what it needs to do.
Right.
Um, so when you're interviewing these assistant coaches, all right, let's dive into that a little bit. What are you looking for? What kind of questions are you asking them? Is this something that you, I don't know how to put this question, but are you being very tough on them in interviews, or are you just looking for somebody that you can trust, whether they have the knowledge or not?
Definitely someone I can trust and someone I would say who doesn't think that this is a full-time coaching position.
Mm,
Like I'm going to be very clear. Hey, listen, you're downloading the app. You're going to sign in, change out the pictures, nothing more, nothing less. You know, that's what we need. Maybe switch around the IL every once in a while. Really just looking for someone who can do that and who's not going to take the reins any more than that.
right. You don't
think
want to
I think
lose your
that's when
team.
it'll go downhill. If it gets out of if decisions start being made without my consent, that's when it will go downhill. Yeah.
Hey, that's completely fair. I think a lot of times as coaches, we don't let other people have any power decision making because we're afraid to lose all of what we have, right?
That's yeah.
So I think finding somebody to trust is very very important. How important is it for you to find an assistant coach that doesn't think how much time, effort, and care we put into this fantasy league is stupid?
Oh, absolutely, very important.
Right. Okay, good answer.
Um, wouldn't want anyone to be looking down upon this league.
Right. It's a very prestigious league. You know,
Hmm.
I think we're what in our seventh or eighth season, and we've been able to weed out people that aren't as invested as us. You know, they put in those less than 8 minutes a week, and that's just not gonna fly. Um, by the end of the season, where do you think you'll be? You know, we talked about the middle of the season. We talked about where you're at now. What are your hopes when it comes playoff time?
Hmm. Well, can I ask a question?
You may.
When is playoff time?
It's about August.
Okay, well, looking at that time frame, I will be back in the States, which
Okay.
is awesome. So I'm just hoping, ride out the 8 weeks I'm in Indonesia, get to the playoffs, and then really come back and hit the ground running.
Hey, fair enough. I guess my last question for you here before we close things out. Is there
Hmm.
anything you need to say to the other teams in the league? You know, I mean, you haven't been a laughing stock, but you haven't really been feared either. And I kind of see the fear thing changing a little bit this year. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, I just think I would say to them, um, watch out, watch what you're saying because it's already coming back in their faces,
It
uh,
is.
big time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You know, it's fantasy baseball's a weird thing because it's so long, and you've been ignored for so long, right? And I think that even the little jabs here and there, I know on draft night there were some jabs being thrown at you. Um, I think it's fun when you can start off 4-0 and just be like, hey, you know,
Yes.
I matter. You
Yeah.
know, fear me.
And I will say I'm much more invested this year than I have in years past. So,
It's a lot
yeah,
easier when you're winning, huh?
absolutely.
All right. Well, if that is there anything else you want to add in? Anything you need to say to me or anybody else?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just excited to see where this season goes. I'm looking forward to it. I don't see honestly anything changing too drastically in the near future as long as my guys keep doing what they've been doing. I think I'll get to playoffs and see where it goes from there.
Hey, fair enough. Danielle, thank you for joining me. I
Thank you for
enjoyed
having
our
me.
time. And I look forward to seeing where you're at. You know,
Thank you.
by the middle of the season, by the end of the season, I hope you lose this week and in 4 weeks from now. Uh, but you know that's just a selfish hope. So I
Yeah. And it's
do,
also unlikely, but yeah.
right. I wish you the best. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank
Um,
you.
and other than that, you know, have
All
fun in
right.
Indonesia.
Thank you. I
You're
will.
very welcome.